Stellar Blade was one of the biggest releases of the year for Gamergate 2 because these developers created what they wanted, even though unfortunately Sony did force censorship upon them. But now the ShiftUp CEO says he was following his instincts when designing sexy characters for Stellar Blade, saying it's something that users like and want, but I also do it because I like it. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description. Join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Stellar Blade was a massive win this year, and Nikki is also a very popular game. But unfortunately, I do understand that ShiftUp is facing still kind of a lot of backlash. They, over the months, have definitely given us a lot of features and new costumes that people wanted, like they're adding photo mode finally, which is fantastic. I really love to see that and them trying to listen to their customers. But on the flip side, I do completely understand why people still feel a bit betrayed. Now, it does seem that yes, the majority of the problems at launch regarding censorship were due to Sony, and Sony has been a scummy company for a lot of years at this point. I don't think I need to sit here and tell you guys that. I've covered them so many times on the channel for forcing censorship upon developers, and this situation didn't really seem any different, but I think we can all agree that Stellar Blade and Nikki still have very aesthetically pleasing character designs and costumes. They are still extremely beautiful games that have extremely beautiful characters, and the ShiftUp CEO, Mr. Kim, actually decided to come out and defend gamers who want this type of content. This is a Bounding into Comics article. It says Kim, who in addition to his role overseeing the company, also served as a lead character artist on both titles, offering this insight into his titillating design philosophy during an interview given to the Japanese news outlet Game Watch at a recent Tokyo Game Show. At the onset of their time together, Kim was immediately pressed on the topic of ShiftUp's penchant for developing games with attractive cast members, and I do think that yes, this is something that we need more of in video games. I am perfectly fine with seeing more ugly characters, with seeing less visually appealing characters, but I think it's clear as day to see that gamers do want sexy women, they want masculine, handsome men, and these should not be bad or negative things. You cannot objectify characters. You cannot sit here and say that fictional characters' bodies need to be respected. That is absolutely absurd, and the activists who say that have no idea what video games are really all about, which is escapism. And Kim is saying that yes, that is exactly what video games are, and I completely understand why so many people love our designs, and I love them too. He really supports these types of character designs, explaining, Nikki is based on a game project that was selected in a game planning competition held for in-house staff, which I think is already a really cool story. However, at the time, the characters were not the main focus of the game. I directed the direction that it would be better to show the shooting figure on the character's back or in front of the character, and this is how we changed direction. After that, the development staff's efforts and hard work led to the creation of the game as we know it today, and he also was then asked how exactly he approached designing the game's cast, to which he admitted, "What I consider most important when designing characters is to make sure that the narrative is firmly linked to the game's story. All of the design elements that make up the character must be combined in a setting that fits the story well," which I think is fantastic. He also said, therefore, "I think that visually appealing is a close second. Nevertheless, an attractive appearance is important, so the creator's skill is tested in the pursuit of these two elements at the same time." And yeah, unfortunately, with modern developers, with especially Western developers, they are more focused on a narrative, and they are more focused on the message they can get across instead of just creating escapism, creating something that plays fantastically, looks fantastic, has great character designs. And while the visuals are not the only important part of a video game, they definitely are a major factor when it comes to even just marketing games. If I see a game that looks super ugly and not visually appealing, my hype level is going to tank. And I know a lot of people would agree with that. They also talk about Stellar Blade, where there were a lot of characters whose body lines are clearly visible, like Eve. However, rather than any sort of concerted effort to make characters sexy, he admitted that when it came to both games featuring attractive casts, I don't think it's something that we consciously set out to do, but I also do it because I like it. So I think that's the result that came out naturally when I followed my instincts, and his instincts are pointing him to money. I mean, Stellar Blade sold a lot of copies. Goddess of Victory is a very popular game, and ultimately, these are business directions that are making a lot of cash. And it is still sad to know that Stellar Blade faced quite a bit of controversy at release because of the censorship that was forced on them by Sony. But on the flip side, we still have a very beautiful game with a lot of beautiful characters. And Stellar Blade, in my opinion, was one of the best titles to release this year. The gameplay was great. The designs, of course, were great. The maps were awesome. The quests were really cool. It just in totality was a really solid experience. And I feel like we get a lot of bad titles these days, so we really have to make sure to praise the ones that stand out from the crowd that are still very good experiences. And of course, hearing him say that he just made a game he felt passionate about, they designed these characters in a way that just kind of came naturally to them is really great to hear, because that means in the future, ShiftUp will probably continue to make really aesthetically pleasing games. And I just want other devs to follow in their footsteps. I know Korean developers right now are seeing a massive boom because there are so many Western gamers who are looking to other regions and their creatives. We're kind of sick and tired of what's going on in the West right now with the companies that are pumping out really mediocre products that have, manly women in them. And of course, we've been focusing for years now on supporting Japanese creatives, but even a lot of Japanese companies are really focused on chasing ESG dollars, like Bandai Namco. For example, they recently had, of course, purchased Reflector, and then Unknown Nine Awakening came out, and that was a massive disaster. But that's what happens when you work with Sweet Baby Inc. You're pumping out really bad products, and you're not trying to make games that people are going to like. You're trying to market them towards modern audiences, aka sensitive snowflakes on social media, and that is not a winning strategy. So hearing him come out and say this is really great. I mean, even leading up to Stellar Blade's release, he was trying to be transparent with gamers on the state and of the game and the quality and some of the creative decisions they made. So he has always tried to be very transparent, but hearing him say it's something that users like and want and that they like and want is just another really great statement, especially during a time where a lot of developers aren't creating games for gamers, they're creating them for modern audiences, and the ShiftUp CEO has not done that, which I can't help but praise him for. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.